Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining me here today. I'm so happy you can join me for today's Nutrition Bites mini webinar and cooking demonstration that's titled Healthy Snacks for Families. So, I am here today representing Wellbeing Aid, which is an organization that strives to empower individuals to lead healthier and more fulfilling lives through evidence based practices and sustainable lifestyle choices. So, today you're here in my kitchen with me. I'm going to be in a moment showing you my cooking surface, but first let me introduce myself. My name is Maria Cecilia Mosquera. I am a pediatrician and public health preventive medicine physician, certified in lifestyle medicine and in obesity medicine. And what that means is that I work to help people with their lifestyle to help optimize their well being. And that includes not just adults, but also children, adolescents, youth, and families, really people of all ages. So today's session is focused on healthy snacks for families, but actually the snacks we're going to be discussing today are relevant for anybody. I eat them at home. So welcome to one and all. This session is being held on the occasion of Healthy Living Week, which is being held at the American International School in Cyprus. So if we have any parents that are joining us from the AISC, welcome. Just so that everybody knows, this session is being recorded because it is on Facebook Live. So if you have to leave, if you can't watch the whole session, just know that the session will be recorded and posted immediately afterwards. The same applies to any of the recipes that are going to be saved in the video. So you don't have to take notes. The video is going to be there for you afterwards. The objectives of today's session are to demonstrate how to make and modify several easy and nutritious whole food plant-based snack recipes that have been teenager approved in my household. And we're going to go through a smoothie, some energy balls, a bar, and some roasted chickpeas that are actually sweet or savory. And today's recipes are meant to be easy but nutritious. They're fast. 3 out of the 4 don't require any cooking or baking. It can be done in less than 15 minutes. Each recipe can be modified to your taste or your child's taste, including those adolescent and youth that are perhaps not very much loving of fruits and vegetables. We'll talk about how to tailor these recipes. The recipes today are full of nutrients to help optimize your well-being. And importantly, all of them are full of fiber. So as a pediatrician, I can say with full honesty that many of today's children are suffering from constipation, as are many adults. And it so happens that all the recipes we're discussing today are full of fiber, which is good for your gut and also for your microbiome in your intestines, which helps protect you, including things like your immune system, and works with all the different types of parts of your body. So let's start. I'm going to shift from you seeing my cook surface, or actually my countertop, so that you can see what I'm referring to. So right now, when we think about healthy snacks, I think most of us know that fruits and vegetables are healthy snacks. So obviously in today's session, we're not discounting fruits and vegetables. They play a large part of our day. And in my household, we have sort of a saying that we need to have at least 5 fruits or vegetables every day. Please, by all means, include those in your and your children's diet. But I know that many times parents want, and families, anybody really, just wants something more than fruits and vegetables to be able to snack on. So that's why we're going to go through several recipes today. So the first recipe we're going to discuss is actually a recipe that we call the Hulk smoothie. And so just bear with me while I shift my screen here. Okay, so the Hulk smoothie includes the ingredients that you're seeing on the screen now. And remember that I'll have access to you for the recipes later, but I'm just showing you what the Hulk smoothie includes. Okay, so let me just shift my screen a little bit to make sure that you can see everything. I also have a little side view of the ingredients in case you feel so inclined. I know you can't see all that, but remember I'll include those recipes for you as well as all the links from which these recipes we're discussing today were inspired. So perhaps many of you are already eating smoothies, and I will acknowledge that it is better actually to eat a whole fruit itself So like this orange, rather than let's say to drink orange juice. Obviously, orange juice is better than things like soft drinks or sodas. But many times, people, families, adults find it a little bit hard to include fruits and vegetables in your diet, or let's say in your child's diet. So smoothies can be a good way to do that. Better so than juices, because juices have perhaps some of the nutrients, but they're lacking in the fiber. So if you take this whole orange and you puree it in a blender, you still have the fiber as well as all the other nutrients of the orange. So that's why smoothies are better than juices, because they contain fiber, including many of the different types of fiber. So perhaps your family's already eating smoothies. Many families are already eating fruit smoothies. So let's say, an orange with some banana, or maybe you're eating a strawberry with some type of dairy or non-dairy milk. Maybe you're already doing smoothies. So in my family, what I work on every day is try to think of ways that I can continue to add to the nutrition of the things that we eat and drink. So adding vegetables to a smoothie is one way to start. For those of you that haven't been doing it already, this is spinach. It happens to be frozen chopped spinach. And so this recipe that I'm talking about today includes spinach. It includes can be frozen or fresh mango or pineapple. It includes bananas. And when I put bananas in my smoothie, I like to take the ripest banana possible. So this one in the front that has darker and spotted is sweeter actually than the one that's a little bit greenish still. So I try to save the sweetish bananas, and I chop them up and stick them in a Ziploc bag in my freezer whenever I can't eat them because they're too ripe, and then I just use them in the smoothies. Same thing for spinach, for example. If I buy fresh spinach, I might just stick some in the freezer if I think I'm not going to eat it in time, because I don't like food to go bad. So oranges, mangoes or pineapples, spinach, bananas, and water, plus some flax seeds. Now this right here is ground flax. If you've never seen what real flax looks like, this is what flax seeds look like. They can be brown or they can be golden. And what I do is flax seeds can turn rancid in the freezer. I'm sorry, if you leave them outside or in the refrigerator. So I tend to just stick my flax seeds in the freezer. I grind them in using a attachment to my blender that looks like this. So I grind the seeds in this attachment to my blender. That's basically just a mini blitzer. And then I just freeze some ground flax seeds and save it in a little glass container with the top in my freezer. You can choose a plastic container that, if you're afraid that the glass one will burst open. So ground flax I add to add nutrition to our smoothies because it has many nutrients, including omega-3 fatty acids that are important for brain development, to help our youth, but also us as adults, as well as for our heart. They also include other things that are called lignans, which are also important antioxidants to prevent things like heart disease and cancer. So in a regular fruit smoothie, if you add the ground flax seeds plus a green leafy vegetable like spinach, you're enhancing the nutrients. And you can add all kinds of things to your smoothies. Maybe you have your favorite combination at home. This is just one example. Now, perhaps you're saying, my child will never eat a smoothie if it turns green, because I'll show you what my daughter ate as a snack today is a very green smoothie, but that's because she's already used to this. So if you're saying, oh gosh, my child will never eat a green smoothie, this is way too much spinach, so just take one leaf of spinach and add it to your fruit smoothie today. And then next time you make it in a couple of days, add 2 leaves. And maybe next week, 3 leaves, and so on, so that they start getting used to the taste. The color doesn't change so much if you just add a tiny bit, and you can slowly get them adjusted to having a little bit of vegetables in their smoothie. To the point that, for example, I not only added spinach to my daughter's smoothie today, but I also added things like spirulina and chlorella because I'm trying to increase the different types of omega-3 fatty acids I add in my daughter's diet. So this is recipe number 1, is just to give you an idea of a fruit smoothie that enhances its nutrition by adding green leafy vegetables like spinach, and I usually use frozen spinach that's already chopped to make it easy for myself. I just keep a bag and use it in the freezer. And the other ingredient that enhances those nutrients like vitamin C that your smoothie has is this ground flaxseed. So it includes 1 cup of spinach in my daughter's, but maybe you might only include 1 leaf, 1 full peeled orange that has been seeded if needed, a half a cup of mango and half a cup of pineapple if you have it. Today I only had frozen mango. 1 large banana or 2 small bananas, 1 cup of water, and 2 tablespoons of ground flax seeds. And remember, if your children aren't used to green leafies, you can increase, for example, the number of oranges that you add and decrease the amount of spinach to the taste of your family. And just remember that this is quite a hearty something to drink. So for example, on your own, you wouldn't sit down at the table and eat 2 small bananas, 1 whole orange, 1 cup of mango. That's basically too much food. So just remember that eating a smoothie on top of a chocolate bar, on top of 2 pieces of toast is quite a lot of calories. This smoothie might have a lot of nutrients, but for example, if you're an adult that's trying to be calorie conscious, just remember that smoothies have all the nutrients, but they also have like this one, 2 bananas, 1 orange, and 1 cup of mangoes. Okay, so this is, we call it the Hulk smoothie. I've made a variation of this for the school to try during Healthy Living Week a couple of years ago. And for the students that weren't used to the flavors, we actually added orange juice. So that can be a way to start for those families that have children that aren't used to eating things like fruits and vegetables. You can add some orange juice as a way to sort of transition, because it makes it, unsweetened orange juice adds a lot of flavor to it, a little bit of spinach, it makes it very tasty. For people like my daughter who are more used to these types of flavors, you can just stick to water. So this smoothie is full of fiber, which can help for constipation, iron, as an example with the spinach, which can help for anemia. Vitamin C in the tropical fruits, which helps your body absorb the iron that's in the spinach. Spinach has calcium, which is for your bone health. And as I said, the flax seeds have omega-3 fatty acids and vitamins. So basically, they're good for your gut, good to prevent anemia, and good for your bones. And I don't know if you knew, but 1 cup of cooked spinach has more calcium than 1 ounce of cheese and 3/4 of a cup of milk. So just remember that there are other sources of iron and calcium than just animal products. Spinach happens to have both iron and calcium plus fiber and other things like that are good for your body. So this is the first recipe. Let me switch and show you the second one. So bear with me a moment while I just grab the second recipe. Okay, so the second recipe is for an energy ball. Now perhaps you have seen this in your, a cafe nearby your house. Perhaps you have bought some yourself. Nowadays they sell them packaged. They can be rather expensive, but you can make them at home that have equal nutrients or more than the ones you can buy. And what I'm showing you here is one recipe that is, these are apple cinnamon energy balls. My family happens to really like energy balls, and I like to have them because they freeze very well. So I usually make a batch and stick it in the refrigerator or the freezer. You can defrost them. So you just have to make 1 batch and it'll last you for a bit. My family gets home after work or school and they just grab energy ball for a snack with a piece of fruit. So we make many variations. This one happens to be apple cinnamon, which is nut-free, and I'm demonstrating a nut-free recipe for the school families, since our school tries to be nut aware. I also happen to make one that has goji berries and chocolate chips, as well as oats. We use dark chocolate chips. I make one that is called a super seed chocolate. And I'm going to show them some of you to you here. So this is the super seed chocolate energy ball. I happen to also make one that has toasted quinoa. These two have toasted quinoa, and it has many seeds that have a variety of nutrients, such as not only flax seeds, but also chia seeds and hemp seeds. And this was the goji berry that I mentioned to you before that sometimes I add chocolate chips to. And this one here is a peanut butter oat bar. So some of these have nuts, some of them don't. I will share the recipes with you so that you have access to them. Because maybe you want to try some, maybe you're looking for something with a particular flavor. So the one I'm going to mention to you today and show you how to make them is this apple cinnamon energy ball that includes half a cup of pitted dates. And just in case you've never pitted a date, just know that there are lots of varieties of dates. They come with a little seed on the inside that looks like this. You just have to open it up, take out the seed, and make sure you use only this part. You can throw away the seeds because they're hard and you don't want to bite into them. But just know that there are a whole bunch of varieties. I tend to like medjool dates because they're already soft and they're easy to blend. So half a cup of pitted dates, 1 cup of dried apples. So I tend to use this kind of apple that is dried and doesn't have any additives on it. Half a cup of oats. What I actually tend to do is I split it half and half. So half is oats and half is barley, because that way we get more nutrients for our bodies and our guts. So I do half and half oats and barley, and then just half a teaspoon of cinnamon. So what you do is you take all these ingredients that I'm showing you here, and then what happens is you stick them in a blender, a food processor, or a mini blitzer, like I showed you that I put into my blender as an attachment here. And that's what I did just a little bit earlier today, is I put all these ingredients into our mini blender. I like to do that because it makes it a little bit easier to handle. And what I got is this plate that you can see here. So you can see how the ingredients all start clumping together so that it makes it really easy to form an energy ball. So I can actually do that with this one all by myself. And you just take a ball and you roll it in your hands until it looks like a little ball. You could make bars with this too, but I like energy balls because it's a little small package. These are very high nutrient snacks, but they also do have a lot of calories for those of us that are trying to keep an eye on what we're eating. Otherwise, I use a mini ice cream scoop to get the perfect portion, or you can use a tablespoon measure or just a spoon from your kitchen. But all you do is, once it's been blended together, it should be sticky like this so that it forms a little ball, and then I just stick them in a container in the refrigerator or the freezer. So these are our energy balls. So let me move this now so we can move to our next recipe. And I'm just gonna, while I'm getting that recipe, you'll be able to see some of the prior energy balls that I've made there. And we'll add the one that we just made right now. But let me get the next recipe for you to see, which is going to be an oatmeal raisin cookie bar. Okay, so here comes the oatmeal raisin cookie bar. So this is the same principle as the energy ball, except it's made in a bar format. Perhaps you've seen some in the supermarket. They sell them in the United States. There's different brands, like the Larabar brands. So this recipe is by a blogger that has made something similar to the Larabar brand. This one happens to be called the oatmeal raisin cookie bars. And one of the reasons why I started making these is this recipe has walnuts. Now, walnuts are one of the best nuts to eat, but to be honest, my daughter doesn't eat them. She doesn't eat nuts just if I give them to her like this. So one day I tried this recipe, which has a half a cup of raw walnuts. It has 6 tablespoons of oats, and it has half a cup of raisins, as well as a little bit of vanilla extract, a dash of sea salt, and a dash of cinnamon. And when I tried this recipe, you blend them all together. Once again, in my attachment to the food processor here, it has a little bit of the oats in there just to show you that they become powdery like this. Sometimes what I do is I blend the oats first because it makes it a little bit easier to then do the oats until they're a powder, and then I add the walnuts into this same little mini blender, and at the end I add the raisins, and I get this little sticky a mixture. And what I do with this little mixture, and this is just a portion of the recipe I made today. My daughter actually already ate the rest of it. Is I usually stick it into a little container like this. So now you're only seeing about a quarter of the recipe. And it's so sticky that you can just press it with your hands and make, imagine if I had the full recipe, this whole container would be filled, is you make it into a little bar. So it is very similar to the energy balls, but in this case, what I would do to serve it is I would cut it to little bars like this. And so what that does is my daughter, when she gets home after school, this recipe actually takes me 5 minutes to make. So many times if I don't have something ready, I'll just make one of these little bars for her, and she loves it. She'll actually eat half the recipe if possible. And so like the other recipe that I mentioned before, this is a very high nutrient-filled recipe because it has a lot of fiber, which, as I said before, fiber is important to help prevent constipation, but it's also important for many other aspects of health. It also includes the healthy omega-3 fatty acids that walnuts have. So if you don't eat walnuts, this might be a recipe you might want to try. And omega-3 fatty acids are very important for brain development, as I said, but they're also important for the heart. This recipe has many antioxidants that are important, for example, for brain health. It also has protein and iron and magnesium. This is a recipe with nuts. That's why some of the other recipes I'm demonstrating today don't have nuts in case you're allergic. And like the energy ball recipe, these are very high nutrient bars, but they are also nutrient dense and calorie dense because nuts can be high in calories. So they have lots of nutrients, but also a bit more calories than, let's say, for example, a carrot. So you want to just be sensible when you're eating these. For example, serve a bar, one-size bar with a piece of fruit like some berries, for example. So this is a very quick recipe that's called an oatmeal raisin cookie bar, full of nutrients. It's very satisfying. For your children or youth that are used to eating something sweet, this can be, maybe they already like raisins. This can be an easier transition than going, let's say, to a green smoothie because it tastes very sweet because it has all these dense raisins in them. Just remember to not let them eat the whole recipe. You want to have this last a little bit longer than that, but also because they are nutrient dense and a bit calorie dense, you want to serve it with a piece of fruit like berries, for example. So these are a hit in my household, and they actually fly really fast. I have to, my daughter will eat half the recipe. And she probably will want to eat these, even though she already ate the ones I gave her earlier because she really loves this one. So let me move this so you can see the next recipe. Okay, so this recipe is made from chickpeas, which may be a little bit strange. Maybe you've never tried roasted chickpeas before. In some cultures, for example, in Cyprus, it's part of actually the history that people used to eat roasted chickpeas. So what you do is you take chickpeas. I cook them in my electronic pressure cooker, and I'm going to show you what I do with them. So I take cooked chickpeas. You can also just use a can of chickpeas. You drain it, and then I put them on top of a little bit of parchment paper like this, and I stick them on a cookie sheet, and I put them in my oven where you can bake them for about 25 minutes at about 170 degrees Celsius or 375 Fahrenheit. Now, because I don't like to watch the oven, I tend to use an air fryer, and I just do the same. I put a piece of parchment, just drop 1.5 cups of chickpeas on top, and I cook them in the air fryer about 170 degrees or 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 minutes until they are hard and crispy. So they get a little bit darker, and when you bite into them, they feel hard. They don't feel chewy. And these are roasted chickpeas that I've made with no oil, no salt, and actually we just eat them. Like they're like having little chips. I just put them on our kitchen table so that when somebody is hungry, they just grab them. The other way I made them is as soon as I take out the cooked chickpeas, I stick them in a bowl and I add some spices like paprika, onion powder, maybe some, if you like a little bit of spiciness, you can just then stick them in your air fryer or oven, and they taste a little savory. But the last way that I make them is what I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so these have been sitting in my refrigerator because it's hot where I live right now. And these are actually dark chocolate covered chickpeas. And you may say that sounds really weird, but taste it. Try it one day and taste it because they fly in my household. My daughter loves them. They taste like dark chocolate, but they actually have the goodness and fiber of chickpeas, protein, fiber, nutrients, iron. It's a win-win situation because it's like having a dessert, but much healthier than a piece of chocolate or a chocolate bar. So the way that you make these is I just took some dark chocolate and I just stuck it in the microwave, or you can melt it outside, or you can for example, do it on the stovetop if you don't like to use the microwave. And what you do is you just drop your roasted chickpeas into the dark chocolate. And that's what I'm doing right here. And what happens is you get these little clusters that form. And so what I do is I take the clusters and I put them on a cookie sheet with some parchment paper so that they don't stick to the cookie sheet. And I just drop the clusters on top of there. And then it's too warm where I live right now to leave them outside. In the wintertime, you can just leave the cookie sheet outside and they will harden up. What I have to do where I live, where it's almost summertime weather, is I stick the cookie sheet in the refrigerator, or you can do it in the freezer, but I like to put it in the refrigerator until they harden up, and that's when they look like this. And these I save in the refrigerator so that they don't melt, they are a delicious treat that usually fly in my household. So maybe you've never thought to make roasted chickpeas. You can make them savory or sweet, as I showed you here today. So it may sound like a weird recipe. Maybe you're interested, maybe you think it sounds a little bit strange. I promise they're tasty, particularly if you like chickpeas. They don't taste too much of chickpeas, but it helps if you like them. So if your children already like chickpeas, this might be a recipe that you want to try. I just, as I said, leave the container on my kitchen table so that there's an easy snack available after school when my family is hungry. So those are the roasted chickpeas. So I've showed you a variety of recipes. So we talked about making a green smoothie, and this one is very, very green, I know. We talked about making energy balls. We talked about making these bars. And we talked about having things like roasted chickpeas that can be either sweet or savory. Right? So it's a variety of snacks I've provided, and perhaps you say, some of these recipes are interesting, some maybe not. So what now? So just the idea of today's session is to inspire you to try to think about what are the ways you can add nutrients to your family's snack day or to your snack day. Perhaps you've been stuck in a rut, you're eating carrots and hummus and you're tired and you're trying to use something different. Perhaps you have children like me that come home after school starving and you want to offer them something different than potato chips or crisps, popcorn, and pretzels that has more nutrients that can help their brain, body, bones develop. So this is the idea of today's session. So just start with what you like. If your family doesn't like chickpeas, then you don't have to do this recipe, but think about maybe some of the other recipes that you might want to try. And start small. As I said, this is a very green smoothie. Maybe your family's not quite ready for such a green smoothie, but you can add 1 leaf of spinach if you've never done that before to a smoothie that you already make, and start adding some vegetables and green leafies to your family's smoothies already. Also think seasonal. For example, right now it's the end of citrus season and berry season is starting, and so just take advantage of the fact that the nutrients will be the highest in the fresh fruit that's harvested local to you. And like I said before, I freeze vegetables or fruits in the high part of their season, or I just buy them frozen because they can still have nutrients. Frozen vegetables are great to use. And they come in handy. I just, as I said, have this bag of spinach, and if I buy a fresh bag of spinach, it's hard for us to eat it in time, so I prefer to buy the frozen one. So start small, use what you like, think about what your family likes, and just how can you add to the nutrition of snacks that you're serving, because the goal is progress. Continue to add foods to nourish your family, because every little step in the right direction will help you all to optimize your nutrition. So this is the end of today's session. If you want more information about eating whole food plant-based, we've done 3 webinars prior to this, 2 on the 6th of March and 1 on the 3rd of April that you can find on the Facebook page of Wellbeing Aid. And remember that if you are looking for more ideas, your healthcare professionals can always give you some ideas too. So talk to your doctor or your dietitian, because the idea is to try making snacks at home or finding some new ones that include fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and seeds to help nourish yourself and your family. And you can tailor any recipe you find for your family's interest. In just a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this recording. I'm going to look at the chat box to see if there are any questions, but I'm also going to add some links in the chat box. One is going to be for a feedback form that I would very much welcome for you all to give feedback on today's session. It's anonymous. And 2 is I'm going to copy the links that I referred to today. So if you're looking for the recipes, I will be putting those links in the chat box in just a moment. When the recording stops, you won't be able to hear me anymore. So just if you are not interested in the question and answer part of today's session and you're ready to go, what I'm going to do now is, for those people that feel ready to leave session, thank you for joining us. For those of you that would like to wait to see as I read the questions in the chat box so that I can answer them, thank you for staying. But if you're ready to go, just please take a moment to look at the feedback form and look back in a couple of minutes after I finish answering the questions. I will add the links to the recipes here. So let me just take a look at the chat box at this moment and see if there are any questions. Great, so it looks like Leslie is looking forward to trying the chocolate-covered chickpeas. Leslie, we love this one in my house. I am excited every time I make it, particularly if I make it with dark chocolate. It's just delicious. And Anna says, can you post the energy ball and bars recipe ratio? Yes, I will be putting all those recipe links in the chat box. So on the recording of the video that will show up on Facebook, I'll put it there so that in case you can't find it on this session. And let me see if I see any other questions at this moment. Okay, as I don't see any questions, thank you very much to those exciting people that joined us. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I hope you try out some of these recipes, and if not, try any recipe that inspires you to add nutrition to your snack day. So thank you very much for joining us here. Remember, I'll be adding those recipe links as soon as I end the live video to the recording that will show up on the Wellbeing Aid Facebook page. And do know that our next session for Wellbeing Aid, in case you're interested, there's going to be another Nutrition Bites mini webinar on the 15th of May, so 1 month from today, for the International Day of Families. It's going to be focused on 1 day of meals that's family friendly and whole food plant-based. So in case you're looking for that, we'll be posting other activities and webinars so that you can see them on the links on our Wellbeing Aid Facebook page. So thank you very much for your time and for joining us today. And I hope to see you again at the next session. And just give me one or 2 minutes and I will add those links into the copy of this recording. Thank you all for joining us today.